Hello and welcome back to SpriteGuard Plays HyperRogue. We are very deep into an orb strategy mode, and Zeno just recently pointed out to me that a lot of the strategies I'm using are 10 treasure strategies, and they don't really translate well to 50 treasure strategies. And so he gave me some tips, especially with the alchemy lab, and suggested practicing in pure tactics mode, which I've not been able to do yet. But pure tactics mode I have actually played around with in the Dragon Chasms. And so that's a place where I think there's actually, a reasonable chance of getting 50 treasures. It's not a great chance, but it's a chance. And so let's give it a shot. And let's see if we can, take down some dragons. And, one of the good things about this is that you do start getting treasures faster in terms of, it takes longer to kill each dragon, but then you get more treasures from each dragon. And so, it takes a lot longer though, so that's going to be a challenge, especially with these fire elementals coming up. And we're also going to run into some problems with multiple dragons on screen at once. And that could end up really kind of giving us some problems, because they can sort of blockade each other and make it more difficult. Like, see how we're having trouble getting into this one segment right here? As these dragons kind of pass each other, we now have fewer avenues for getting to that segment. And so we want to kind of bait this one away and loop around this side of it so that we have more room to work. But then this fire elemental has pretty seriously blocked us off from that side of the dragon. So this is the kind of problem that you run into with high numbers of treasures in the Dragon Chasms. And you often have to abandon dragons that you would rather hold on to, and, oftentimes when you're very, very close to finishing them off like this. And so we want to, try to stay near this one, and it looks like it is, it is presenting. No, it's covering it now. So we had a chance, and it threw fire at us, and that ended up not letting us get in. And now, we're getting pushed around to the wrong side of it. And, I don't know if we're going to be able to get back around. Looks like we have a chance here. But again, there's a lot of crosstalk coming over, especially, because we have pretty high numbers in the Hall of Mirrors. So we get a lot of crosstalk from there. And then, we're also getting a lot of fire elementals because we have, we don't have a huge number of treasures here, but we have enough that fire elementals are a problem. And see, now here we have 3 dragons, 4 dragons even, and so at this point it seems like we just have to abandon that one. And so we're going to start fighting this one, and hopefully we're able to do something with it, though once again fire elementals causing some big problems. Luckily we can kite the dragon over the fires. Dragons are fireproof. And it looks like we've got kind of a lucky break here. It's giving us a lot of segments, but then, we have another dragon coming up that's going to come after us. We're very nearly done with this one. Let's see if it'll give us its head. Oh, we missed probably the tail. And now, once again, we have 3 dragons kind of moving in parallel, which is really not something that we have a good way of dealing with. And so we want to loop around here and try and get that segment, get it to give us that segment. But once again, more dragons coming after us. And once again, it prefers to give us its head than its segment. I don't know if they're programmed to protect their vulnerable segments. There we go. So, alright, so that's one down, but we have these dragons coming along that are going to make it so that we can't get in there because we have to wait for those fires to burn out. And these dragons are just going to block us in long before that happens, or block us out, rather. So we can get started on this one. But again, it's not really giving us good options. And these fire elementals are not making it easier. Now, fire elemental fire does not last forever. It does burn out. It takes a while. But it does eventually burn out. I don't know. Okay, so now we have a tortoise after us. And we're holding a baby tortoise. I don't know if that affects tortoises. I mean, I would like to put it down if I can, but I don't think I'm able to. And, you know, we have chasms here that are blocking our ability to get around to the other side, because we'd love to get around the other side of this dragon. It only has one more segment left. But we're actually reaching an area that is very heavily crisscrossed with chasms, and so I want to get out here, see if we can get these guys. But once again, we have another unharmed dragon coming after us that's really going to complicate things. And so I'm going to try and loop around here. I don't want to get pinned in, though, and this guy, once again, protecting his vulnerable segments. Want to deal really proactively with that fire elemental. And once again, give it a shot, see if we can loop around this guy. But once again, trying to protect, he's trying to protect his vulnerable segments. And I don't have the right angle on him to push him in the direction I want to go. And once again, we're getting kind of walled in by chasms. And so I want to go out into this more open area, see what we can do. Once again, try to be proactive with these fire elementals, and then try to loop around this guy's other side. So there's actually a good position. He's hiding his tail now, though. And this other dragon is now in a little bit better position for us. So let's see if we can push stuff away and coax out the correct segments. There we go. Oh, wrong segment. Okay. Now, tortoises, you can only stun them. You cannot kill them, but they move very slowly. They move, I believe, on a 3-beat. And so we should be able to just avoid it. Now this dragon, we still need the tail, and so that's not going to be very helpful that we have its head, even though we have its head, you know, right there for us. And once again, it's trying to protect its vulnerable segments. Now we have these guys kind of in an RN position, head to tail. Alright, so we got this guy's tail, and so this one, all we need is the head. And so let's head back out into a bigger area and try again to loop around. We can stun that guy and get very far away from him. And then they do generally present their head when given a chance. But once again, you know, it's kind of unlikely that we will be able to gather these treasures. Just because we're being blocked in by, you know, this dragon and these tortoises. And this wall of fire here. And, you know, it's very unlikely that we'll be able to find our way back to it if we get pushed away. Now, we can check. It's unlikely that we've got another... Oh! Another orb of... Okay, so we do actually have an orb of domination. So I'm going to use that. And I'm going to jump on top here. And I'm going to instruct it to head over this way. Actually, I want it to kind of head away from these treasures. And I want to make my way along. Let's see. Okay, so we have to wait once for it to go dormant. There we go. So now we can gather up some of these treasures. And if we see another dragon, we can pretty effectively... Let's see. Pretty effectively get dragons to fight each other. And this one, we only need one more segment. But it looks like, you know, now that we actually want another dragon... Oh dear. Oh no. There we go. Okay, so we ran out of domination. Might have actually been wise to use the Orb of Time there. Because we're not going to get another Orb of Domination for a while. We can't push tortoises. So now we want to, once again, kind of lure this guy out into an open area. And loop around him. Try and get into that one segment that we're still missing. Unfortunately, not quite the right lineup here. And too much else going on. Because we don't have any way of getting rid of these tortoises. So there's the last segment. So now we just want to get to this guy's head. And there we go. And, you know, we can hope that nothing blocks us in. But there's a lot going on here, and I'm not really comfortable. And those fire elementals have pretty much walled it off, along with the tortoises. So we can, you know, we can try and lead the tortoises around this way, but fire elementals are going to keep coming up. and keep kind of refreshing these fires. So there we go. So they're burning out now, and we can gather up some more of these. So the Dragon Chasm's really about patience and about, letting things go when you need to let them go. And, just really just playing so carefully and just waiting for so much stuff, just waiting for the right opportunities. And it looks like we can get to one more if we get around these tortoises. There we go. So that's got us to 24. Has it gotten us another Orb of Domination? It has. And the next one is between 20 and 39. So now we're going to look for 2 dragons. So here's one. So we're going to fight this as usual. See what we can do. Try and clear up these fire elementals. We want to be proactive with them. And we're going to wait for the other dragon before we activate the Orb of Domination. Now, the Orb of Domination, or the Orb of Time, rather, we have 2 ways that we can use it. One, we could use it here. Actually, no, that wouldn't really help. I don't know if the Orb of Thorns is always active or only when you're using it, because preserving the Orb of Thorns is one of the things that was suggested to me in the comments. Got a Vine Beast, that's not good. Once again, it's preferentially giving us the segments that we've already hit. And I don't know if that's the dragon's programming or if it's my own kind of poor tactics, or if it's entirely bad luck. Because it seems like what segment it moves is usually not the one that I expect, or not the one that I hope will move. And so here is our second dragon. So now we're going to wait for them to get a little close together so that we can use them as efficiently as possible. So they're touching now. So now we're going to use the Orb of Domination here, and we're going to attack over this way. And so this dragon, it looks like, just wants to hit the head, which is a little bit frustrating. Let's try and say, go more over this way. And so, maybe try and get onto this one. Maybe it will fight this one a little bit better. Now, I'm not sure why it keeps going back and forth like this. Maybe it's getting... Oh, no. Have I gotten into a game over situation? I was not paying attention to the Orb of Domination. Okay, so now we need to use... Let's see, I believe only an Orb of Teleport will get us out of this situation. And I want to take a look. Orb of Safety would get us out. So it's down to the Orb of Safety or the Orb of Teleport. And I believe those are the only orbs we have that will do anything for us right now. So I always forget that the Orb of Domination, you lose charges when you're under attack. And so I wasn't paying enough attention to it. So, yeah, let's use the Orb of Teleport. And let's try and use it to get someplace that's at least a little bit useful for our goals here. And once again, it did not move the segment that was nearest to us. it moved a different segment that was more badly damaged. And I don't know if that one might have been equidistant from us. I don't really know. Alright, so we have a sandworm here that's going to mess everything up, because we can't fight them at all. And so hopefully this fire elemental will actually deal with that for us. Oh, not quite. And this one isn't quite going to do what we want either. However, because the dragons can cross fire and the sandworms cannot, we can use the fire as walls to slow down these sandworms. And it looks like fire elementals actually cannot walk on fire. Which is... I think mechanically it makes sense. I'm not sure thematically how to interpret that, but I think mechanically it's just a little bit more fair. There we go. And let's see. Once again, not in a great position to try and get around this dragon. And so we probably want to find a more open area. Here's one. Now, I don't actually know how the dragon chasms are generated, if they're random or not. I feel like I read something that implied that they're maybe not as random as I thought they were. So now, once again, we have 2 dragons, which is going to cause some problems. And especially now that we're getting blocked in by that chasm, going to have to back away again and try and find a more open area. And I don't think we've actually gotten any treasure. Now, can I click this to... Okay, so that just gives us some help text. So that's not what I wanted. Because if you click on like a dead orb, you'll drop it. So I was wondering if you click on a tortoise, would you drop it? But I think if you leave the dragon chasms, you drop the tortoise. But other than that, I guess there's not really any pressing need to drop it. So now we're going to loop around again, try and get to the back end of this dragon. And fighting dragons like this, I'm not even entirely sure why, but it is one of my favorite aspects of this game. I think because, you know, one of my favorite things in this game in general is working towards a long-term goal. And I feel like fighting dragons, you know, I think I like colossal bosses. On my live channel, I sometimes play a game called Zenza Zenzik that has a similar, it's, you know, fighting colossal bosses with a lot of segments. And I think that's just something in general that I really like. And then I also, you know, in this game in general, really like these kind of more long-term goals where you have a lot of steps to carry out. And you know, I kind of think of this game as having, you know, it has a few like big enemies. The Ivies, the way that I fight the Ivies, I don't really fight them in a lot of steps. The giant Ivies, you know, they do take quite a few steps, but are not quite as difficult as the dragons. But I really like the clearing with the infinite Ivy. That's really fun to fight. And then I also, you know what? We should head back to the Kraken Depths at some point, because that is someplace we haven't been in a while, and where we get to fight big bosses with a lot of segments. You know, not quite as big as the dragons, but still really cool, really interesting bosses. But the dragons are my favorite, and I like that they keep getting bigger. And I like how many problems there are as you're fighting a dragon. And I think that's why I like things like the clearing and especially the Lost Mountain, where it takes, you know, kind of a lot of steps to get there. Is that once again, it's, you know, it's a longer term goal that I find really interesting, and kind of a larger scale challenge. So I think we're done with this dragon. I think we can get around to the head, and there we go. And there's not actually that much threatening us here. So let's head back over and gather up our treasures. And that puts us at 33, so we should have... Yes, we have another Orb of Domination, and then we have... let's see... Next at 53. So, you know, we can try again to find a situation to use that Orb of Domination, be a little more careful with it. But we've actually been going for quite a while, and I think I am ready to look for a way out of here, back into the crossroads. I think the Land of Eternal Motion is probably too dangerous at this point. And so we're going to look for an Orb of Safety in the crossroads. And I think they only drop randomly in the crossroads. I think they do not drop randomly in the Land of Eternal Motion. Now, we saw some crossroads earlier on, but it looks like we're just not encountering them as quickly here. There's an Alchemist Lab. Xeno did give me some good tips for the Alchemy Lab, that we should be able to finish that off hopefully without too much trouble. Basically, we're going to be trying to grind up Orbs of Speed a little bit more. And so now, once again, just looking for a crossroads. And let's see, a dungeon. I think we might head into the dungeon in the classic series. I've been having a little trouble with that series, but it's one that I do intend on continuing. I just had some audio go bad in the last episode, and I need to fix that up. How are we on the desert? Let's see, 26. So that's something to consider in the future. I think that's an area where 50 is entirely plausible. But we're really just looking for a crossroads and nothing else right now. And so, you know, this is one aspect of the game that can be quite frustrating. I don't believe we have... No, the Orb of Luck you need... I don't remember if it's the Overgrown Woods or if it's the Clearing. No, the Clearing is the Orb of Freedom. That's actually a very powerful variant on the Orb of Flash. But yeah, the Overgrown Woods I think we would need to do to get an Orb of Luck, which would make the Crossroads spawn rate a little higher. But yeah, I mean, usually we run into them pretty frequently, but I don't think there's any kind of limit on how far apart they can be. And so it can sometimes just be a really long time. And this is something that actually comes up when I'm speedrunning. And of course, if I find out in editing that we passed one, I'm going to be very disappointed in myself, but that just comes with being me. Not always the most observant. But that's something that can actually, like, really drive me crazy in the speedrun, is, you know, I lose a lot of runs to just not being able to find a crossroads. And that's actually, like, the main source of time loss in my PB, is how long it takes me to get to crossroads. There's some time loss in Hell, just because I don't play Hell as effectively as I could. And there's some time loss just kind of across the board, not playing as well as I could be in general. But a big source of time loss and a big source of run loss, which is, I think, just as important in a game with this much RNG, because you can be on a really good pace and then just lose it to RNG, and so, you know, the more runs you lose that way, the fewer, you know, the farther apart good runs are, and so... And then, you know, there's the kind of the human frailty element that, you know, you don't get on a good run every time. And so it becomes, you know, you have to have both of the stars align of having good RNG, having good, you know, crossroads spawns, and also having good play, which I sometimes refer to as the RNG of my hands. Of my hands and my eyes and my brain, you know, being able to see, process, and input quickly enough, because speedrunning this game, you're moving the mouse in a really small area really fast, and you're inputting really fast, and you're also trying to read the screen as fast as you can, and make decisions, make smart decisions based on that. How are we on rubies? 32... yeah, I don't feel like that's any better of a place to go looking for a crossroads. Because it's a little bit less navigable than the Dragon Chasms. So this is a Crossroads 2, which I am really not happy about. And it looks like we might not be able to get into it anyway. Yeah. We're just gonna get blocked off. So never mind on that. Lots of Galapagos. If I knew how to drop the tortoise... Oh, next time we see something that's not the Galapagos, we can poke our heads in. Oh dear. Never mind. That fell apart quite quickly. But yeah, we can poke our heads in and drop the tortoise that way. Should have gone into the desert for that reason. But did not think of that until just now. So yeah, we're just once again just wandering, trying to find a place that we can escape into. And just trying not to get frustrated. This is actually something that I was talking about a little bit on my live show recently, is kind of trying to win the what I call the emotional game, which is basically when the game is really giving you a hard time and kind of feels like it's trying to get a reaction from you. Now, I wonder if Trollheim is actually a better place to kind of navigate, because we have no treasures here. And so, aside from nests, I think we don't actually have a whole lot to worry about. Now, nests are quite time-consuming to deal with, and I'm not seeing a lot of land spawns here, so this might not have been the best choice. But it's something that we have. So yeah, it's the idea that let's see, let's try and block these guys off, because that's really the most effective way of escaping from a nest, is just to create walls for them to go around. Hall of Mirrors is so dangerous that I think that it's not even going to be a benefit unless we like run along the side of it and try and find a land that we do not have too many treasures from. And you know, as soon as we get this kind of spawning problem, just walk away. So there's another Crossroads 2, which again I'm not happy about because orbs of safety are much harder to find here. But we might be able to find a gateway to a Crossroads Type 1. I don't know, like, how navigable the Buldash is. Well, we're trapped in here now, at least for a little bit. I mean, it looks pretty tight. It doesn't look like something that's going to be, like, super easy to navigate. There's a hive. I don't think we have anything from the hive, but land spawns are pretty rare there. So I think the thing to do is to keep going through this Crossroads 2, and either we will see something, a gap we can jump across to a Crossroads 1, or we will run into a Orb of Safety. And neither is super likely, but both together I think will be a better chance than... Ah, there we go. Than either one separately. So there we go. That was a very tiring and unfortunately I feel like not the most exciting episode, but you know, just trying not to let the game get your emotions up is an interesting challenge, and kind of bringing in regulating those emotions is, I think, a skill that is really easy to develop within games, because games there's nothing at stake, and I think it's one that is really useful in the rest of life. I don't know how well it transfers, though. I've been having some trouble with that, but it's fun to play with in games at least. So, until next time, thank you very much for watching, and have a great rest of your day.